booties for black girl nerds.
Let's do it. I'm excited. Thank you. Hi, ladies. Chandler, I just saw you at the Women in Entertainment Summit.
Yes.
And so I'm very happy to see you again. This is such a fun show. And I wanted to start with you, Bailee. Imogen has a lot going on and she's fighting with her bestie. She's pregnant. Her life is about to change.
Yeah.
How do you personally kind of relate to her tenacity and what's her journey kind of going to look like this season?
Yes, when we meet Imogen, you're so right. She has so much on her plate, a lot going on, a lot of trauma and tragedy and things to work through. I think she feels really isolated and is trying to figure out how to cope and also own who she is in that moment. I think her survival skills are starting to kick in, which is a joy to get to watch that from the start of the journey until, you know, where we see her at the end of the season. Imogen is a character I care so deeply about. She's very different from anything that I've ever played. And so, yeah, it was a challenge in the most beautiful ways. And I'm excited for her journey to get to unfold for everyone.
I'm really excited to see for others to kind of see the growth and specifically the relationship with you, Tabby, with Tabby's character. I love that she's a cinephile. I love all the little, you know, like the do the right thing sweatshirts and all the little film things. It's very cute. But underneath, she really has this pain and this anger, and she seems to kind of channel that through her art. What do you think her journey to peace is going to look like?
Well, you're right. She definitely uses film, which is her greatest passion in life, as a bit of a coping mechanism and a way to help her process what she's gone through and what she's experienced. And so she really leans into that through her various film projects throughout the course of the season. And it's something that is so personal to her. And her journey is really one of learning to trust again and learning to be vulnerable. And you see that play out in her love of film. And you see that play out also, as you mentioned, with her blossoming friendship with Imogen and with the other girls. And so it's definitely a bit of a ride for Tabby. She is a bit guarded when you are introduced to her, but she eventually comes a bit undone over the course of the season. And so that was definitely a challenge, but a beautiful journey and experience to really play.
Well, when I love that you get to work with the beautiful Sharon Leal. She's amazing and such an icon. Tell me in general, if you were to give just like a one sentence pitch, what do you want viewers to take away from the show? Starting with you, Bailee.
Oh man. I was like, one sentence. Is it a run-on? Is it a
Hey, we can do commas.
Hey, it's a compound sentence. Maybe there's a semicolon in the middle.
Exactly.
In the middle. The question was, what do I hope people take away from the show?
Right.
I think there was so much care and thought when it came to creating the show and what it would look like if we took what was so beloved and then kind of threw it into our version and our universe and welcomed people into the world of Millwood. But my hope is that the same amount of care and thought that went into our show on behalf of the cast and the crew, which was to allow a lot of voices that are usually unheard to be heard, a lot of stories that might be difficult to listen to and hear to get to be talked about and discussed. And I think hopefully the viewers will be able to feel seen. And as they watch our characters deal with the ugly truth at times and deal with the messy part of healing and what that looks like, my hope with that would be that, you know, at the end of the show, maybe people are a bit more healed as well in ways that they weren't expecting throughout all the fun and the horror and all the elements. I'm proud that our show, it has a lot of heart in it.
Well, I absolutely love it. I was gonna get your thing, Chandler, but it's all encompassing. It's for everybody. I absolutely love it. You're right. I can't. Right there we go.
Hey, I'll add the period.
Yeah,
period. That's right. Thank you, ladies, so much for taking this time. Congrats on the show, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, Stacey. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Stacey.
Take care. Fabulous. Hello, Noah. And well, the Noah, the Minnie. We have Maia and Malia here. I'm so excited to talk with you both. It's very hard to talk about Mouse without major spoilers, but she's kind of unassuming while she may have really the biggest secrets and kind of the most to hide. Who is Minnie for you, and what's her place within the group?
Oh my gosh, I think it was so important for me to define Minnie and be specific because she is hiding quite a lot. So I really want to make sure that her true self shines through throughout the series. And for me, I think the girls really affect Minnie in such a big way. I'm going to call her Mouse because that's what I lovingly love to call her.
I love it.
But I think, her meeting the girls are such a catalyst for her coming into herself and finding her voice and taking ownership of her life. And in that, I think also there's just like this beautiful glee and heart that comes out of Mouse. I mean, she's going to a dance for the first time, and that's exciting, even though everything is crazy and like, the house is on fire and everything is like is falling apart. She still finds a joy in little things, and I think that's because she's able to finally have like a group of friends. Right. And so despite her secrets, she keeps her balanced diet of all those things a teen girl loves, as well as a budding romance. And I can't wait for everyone to learn more because it does get a little crazy as it goes on.
I got the first 5 episodes and I was like, oh, my Mouse. Like, what are we going to do?
Oh, you watched 5. I've only watched 2. Now I see.
We watched 2.
Well, we can't wait to watch the rest because they are explosive. Maia, let's talk about Noah because kind of conversely, she really has nothing to hide because she can't. It's all out there. Everybody knows her business. She is just trying to go from day to day and get this anklet off of her leg. And she keeps running into obstacles and people kind of pulling her every which way but loose. How does she keep her head above water?
I think there's something really cool about the way that she carries herself, that it's kind of that you would easily assume she has nothing to hide because the narrative that is easy to push on her is getting constantly pushed on her, and she just like doesn't even fight it. She goes along with it, and I think there's such strength in that, and the facade that she chooses to put on just for the sake of her mom, for the sake of her family, is so admirable in many ways. I would definitely say getting to play her and getting to know all of these little intricacies and secrets that she does hold, because at the end of the day, the 5 of us are liars. We all got secrets. We all get our own little secrets, and also our big group ones. Don't get me wrong. But I think getting to play with that and moving her away from stereotypes was really important for me too. And I think the way that they've written her obviously does that. But for my own lived experience, it's really cool to get to play such a complex Latina character, not being the butt of a joke or not being X, Y, or Z. And I think the more I was reading the script and the more I was getting to know Noah and the more I was getting to know her past and her reasoning to why she does the things that she does do, it was really moving to me, for me. And I think I'm really excited for people to get to know her as the season progresses and to understand the little whys of the way of her life just in general.
Well, they really are such unique characters between Minnie and Noah, and you two ladies play them absolutely beautifully. I cannot wait for others to watch this and to be entertained and to be scared and thrilled and all of the above. So thank you so much for taking this time to talk with me, and I wish you guys the best. Congrats.
Thank you, Stacey. You're so awesome. Your energy's so cool. Thank you for hopping on.
We'll see you next time. Might see you at the premiere, so we'll say hi.
Yo, see you tomorrow.
I'm so excited to be speaking with both of you. I want to start with you, Zaria. I watched In Two Distant Strangers. Absolutely loved it. And I kind of feel like Faran is like baby Perry in a way, where she lives in this world full of microaggressions, and especially from the Karens of the world and the Karens in this cast. And I wanted to ask, like, how does she kind of deal with this stress of constantly being othered?
I think that Faran deals with it by throwing herself into her work. I think that she feels like so long as that she it's like this Kobe mentality. As long as she works harder than anyone else, she knows that what people throw at her, whether they're words or microaggressions, can't affect her any more than she can affect herself. So I think that honestly, it's a lot like what I do is when I'm having a hard time, I like to throw myself into my art. So her and I had a kinship in that way.
I love that. And Mallory, you are doing double duty. You're doing a lot this season, but part of that is playing the Karen of it all. And when I heard the name, I instantly laughed, but then it was like, she was the way that she is. And then she had the cop father and then everything else that happens. Tell me kind of about Karen's worldview. How do you kind of see her as she fits into this world?
It's so funny that you mentioned the Karen thing, because of course, when I first read that too, I was like, oh, okay. And then you play this part for so long and it's just like, oh no, her name's just Karen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Karen is a winner. She has grown up in this very dark, not warm household, and her dad is sort of a tyrant and he expects her to be the best at everything that she does. And so it's not really we don't spend too much time on it, but she wears a ton of hats. I mean, she's going for Spirit Queen. She's captain of the cheerleading squad. She's on student council. She does everything. And I think her whole worldview, her sense of self and confidence comes from just dominating and winning. And so anything that is a threat to that, which is totally Zaria's character, Faran, her getting the lead role, it's like that does not compute. That's not how this is supposed to happen. And that's when the claws really start
to come out. Yeah. Well, I kind of wonder where how much of that is based on appearance, and also for Faran's character. We'll actually start with you, Zaria. When we talk about why she wants to be a dancer, a lot of it seems to be kind of, making her mom proud of her. And even though they kind of have that distance, how much of that do you think is just kind of putting up for appearances versus her really loving it?
You hit the nail on the head, Stacey. I think that Faran is all about appearances because that's what her mom taught her. And that was her mom's survival mechanism, is how you appear to the world matters in this society. And so when Faran puts on the point shoes, she feels like she can become something other than what her mom envisions for her. So yeah, it was entirely rooted in appearance, and ballet is that way as well. Right. It's so crucial to what makes a ballerina, even how she stands, how she moves her arms, how she holds her wrists, how she holds her fingers, everything is so precise.
And we kind of see that with Karen as well. How much of that do you think is appearance, of that, especially the relationship with Greg and, that whole thing of being just like, well, it's all appearances.
100%. And it was, it's so cute having these conversations and realizing how similar our characters are, but
exactly,
so much of it is for her dad. Like it's for, so that she can get this approval. Like the closest thing she's going to get to love is, a short nod of the head and just not,
right,
ripping into her. And it's funny with Greg too. Elias and I had a conversation in the beginning, and we were like, how much of this is just we're the two hottest people in the school, and that's why we're together. But yeah, I think so much of her life is just looking like that, like the best.
I absolutely love it. I had the best time watching it, and I can't wait for others to watch it. Thank you, ladies, so much for taking this time to talk with me today, and I wish you the best. Congrats on the show.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to speak with both of you. Now, did you two originally meet on Sabrina?
We did.
And so, and kind of starting with you, Roberto, how did that kind of segue into Original Sin?
Yeah, I was asked by my bosses at Warner Brothers, Roberto, do you want to work on a new version of Pretty Little Liars? And obviously I knew about the show because it was so iconic and so big in the pop culture landscape. I went back and I'd seen it, but I didn't know it the way I knew some other YA shows. And I started watching it and I was like, I understand why I've been asked to do this. Mm-hmm. But obviously this franchise is female centered. Right. It's about young women in high school. That's what it is. I'm like, I think another voice might be helpful here. So I went to the Riverdale writers room. I went to the Sabrina writers room, and I went to the Katie Keene writers room. Mm-hmm. And I said, so does anyone does anyone want to work on Pretty Little Liars, a new version of Pretty Little Liars? And I jokingly say that all the writers immediately went down to their notepads, but later that day, there was a knock at my office door, and it was Lindsay. And Lindsay came in, and she was such a star writer on Sabrina. And she very, very fortuitously said, yeah, I'd like to do this. So
I love that. Lindsay was ready.
She was ready.
Fortune favors the bold, they say. I was nervous to knock on that door because at the time I was one of Roberto's writers. I wasn't sure if that was too brazen of me to say, I want to create a show with you. But Roberto, being the man that he is, the showrunner, the creator and boss that he is, he's the type of person who says, come on in. Of course, I want to hear your idea. Let's talk about it. And so that was the first big step of having someone like that who opens doors rather than closes them. So I'm forever thankful to Roberto for that. And through Sabrina, I knew of many of our combined loves, but one of them, of course, is horror. So horror and YA and coming of age. And so it really was a perfect marriage of making this show together.
You know, one thing I love about this new chapter is the original sin aspect. It really is kind of a sins of the father, but now sins of the mother kind of situation where these girls are being affected by something that their mothers kind of encountered or went through. What was it like kind of using that as a jump off point for this? Starting with you, Roberto.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a defining aspect of this version. And we love exactly that theme. In fact, in one of the later episodes, one of our girls says the sins of the mothers have been visited upon their daughters. We also have all these other biblical quotes and things like that. But I think the idea of doing a generational story does set it a little bit apart from the other iterations of PLL. It also allowed us to examine what teen girls were like in 1999 versus what teen girls are like today, and it kind of that dialogue, kind of that tension between what was permissible or what was okay in 1999 in 22, what has changed for the better, and then what hasn't changed, and kind of the tension between those time periods, I think really sort of were one of the motors for this. So that was a big deal, and it kind of informs everything, really.
Yeah, I think so. It's really such a dynamic kind of way to lead in. It's very unique. And again, it kind of pulls in the people who were fans of, Pretty Little Liars or just those shows in general. And now those kids are coming up now. So it's a little something for everyone, which I adore. And female-led, diverse as all get out, which I absolutely love across all spectrums. So thank you so much for talking with me about the show today. And I wish you the best. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Nice to meet you.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.